I'd like to call this November 5th, 2013, Village of Greenhills regular council meeting to order. Would everyone please stand for the pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Adams.
Here.
Reese.
Here.
Halter.
Here.
Hermes.
Here.
Walford. Here. Walterman.
Here.
Merle.
Mr. Merle is not able to attend tonight, and as President pro tempore of the council, I will be calling him. I would entertain a motion at this time for approval of the minutes from October 1st, regular council meeting, and the October 15th, 2013 work session.
I do have a correction. Under the community development report, the banners are not $25, but $125. It may eventually become $25.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other corrections? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes for the two meetings in October as revised? So moved. I have a first, do I have a second? Second. All in favor of accepting the revised October minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes by voice vote. Now is an opportunity for residents to address council. This is a time for citizens to comment on matters before council or to ask questions of concern to them. When recognized, please come forward to the lectern, give your name and address, and then state your comments or questions. Council meetings are tape recorded for ease of transcription. Comments are limited to 2 minutes.
Oh my God.
Obviously, something must be going on still today. I will remind people that are watching, it is election day today. If you have not gotten to the polls, being that no one lives more than 5 minutes away, you still have 27 minutes to go. So,
If you're registered.
yes, and you haven't voted. Moving on to reports of village officials, municipal manager.
Thank you very much. I need to catch us up on our public records requests. I've gone a couple months without getting these available at the time we've met, so let me go through this quickly. On August 19th, we had a walk-in who requested records of rental inspections done at 28 Burley Circle, specifically from the last 2 years. That was from an individual by the name of Beth Moses. On September 3rd, I received a request from Pat Anwine requesting an electronic copy of the contract between the Environmental Demolition Group, LLC, and the Village of Greenhills. On September 6th, I received a request from Pat Anwine for electronic copies, of all applicant interest forms for 2012 and 2013 to be considered by the Village of Greenhills for appointment to the Planning Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals. Second item, council or committee minutes that record the discussion of the merits and qualifications of the various applicants to those boards. Number 3, council or committee minutes documenting the appointment or reappointment of all 2012 and 2013 appointees. On September 17th, I received one from Diana Kohler requesting an electronic copy of the letter issued to the resident on Joywood as referenced by the resident during the Planning Commission meeting of August 27th, which dealt with the Greenbelt permission to remove and or clear some Greenbelt land at the end of the street on Joywood. On September 18th, I received one from Pat Anwine to provide electronic copies of the current contract with National Inspection Corporation. Second item, the current information enforcement document for the International Property Maintenance Code. Item number 3, NIC invoices for 2010, 2011, 2012, and 2013. Fourth item, all warning NIC warning letters, including photos from 2010 to 2013. Item number 5, all citations, including photos by NIC 2010 to 2013. Number 6, all communications from NIC pertaining to taxpayers' holdings under the umbrella of the Village of Green Hills. Number 7, all NIC appeal applications 2010 to 2013. Item number 8, records indicating fees collected in response to NIC inspections. Item number 9, document defining, in quotes, peeling paint, the established threshold for the 2013 enforcement season. On October 1st, I received a verbal request from a walk-up who did not identify themselves, requesting any records of correspondence between the Village of Green Hills and Patricia Anwan in reference to Jeff Hancy. And that concludes our public records for now. We have had a whole lot going on this past month that I wanted to fill you in on. A lot of good stuff. Our Farragut Road project has been completed. I'm sure you've probably seen that by now. The Malloy's parking lot resurfacing project is also very nearing completion. The striping will take place. They were marking the marks. It'll happen striping next day. Is it already striped? Okay. They were giving themselves like a 2-day window, but I understand it is now striped.
Oh, is it really? They got it done?
There are just a couple punch list items that we already know will have to be addressed, but basically that one is done as well, and it looks beautiful. And that is just really transformed into a really nice area. Ah, there we go.
Love the concrete curbs.
Yeah, they really
Didn't know they were gonna be there. It
The
looked
striping
awesome.
is done. You guys, anybody else want to see the striping? Thank you. The new playground equipment over at Palmer Park has been installed. I understand there are still a few more details to minor items that need to be done there. Let's see, on October 28th, Mr. Dries and I attended the Wintonwood School Board meeting to formally present the community reinvestment area information to the board as required. I want to draw your attention, one of the handouts I gave you is regarding our aggregation program. It's the one that is a chart that outlines the time frame. They're putting out to bid both the gas and the electric for new suppliers, and I wanted you to see the schedule because it's very aggressive. They'll be taking the bids in early November, excuse me, November 6th, actually, that's tomorrow. I have a meeting, they'll be coming down to review the suppliers, those who have submitted proposals, and our consultant will give us a recommendation on where to go with it. And as you can see from that, we'll receive that information here mid-November, and then we will need to pass that document in early December to maintain this current schedule. So I provide you with the schedule so you would understand this item and get a sense of how quickly it has to move. And it's a similar, this is the one you have in front of you is for the gas, and the electric is a similar schedule as well for that whole process. So that's something we'll be dealing with during the month of December. Also wanted to let you know that we did indeed make application to various funding sources for a second phase of road improvement work on Winton Road. They have different times on when we'll hear back on the different sources, but I'll keep you posted and keep your fingers crossed that we get money for some much needed work.
How far will the second phase take us?
All the way to our border.
Okay. That's all 4 lanes. Okay.
Also wanted to note that the leaf collection has started, and for a while the leaves just kind of hung in there, and then after that rain we had, a lot of them have come down, a lot of them have not, but what came down rather quickly, so their volume is really heavy right now. I just want to encourage residents and visitors to try to not park in front of the leaf piles. The truck can't reach the leaves, but if they have to pass it by, or if you have leaves at the curbs and they're still sitting there at the end of the week, don't fret. They will get around. It's just depending on how heavy the leaves are, how many are out. It might take them a little bit longer to get around. But the goal is to try to get to every street in the village once a week. So
It seems like the leaves are taking longer to drop this year than normal.
well, they did, and then just like that, this week it's been very heavy volume.
Okay.
I guess it was that storm.
Yeah.
What was that?
I mean, still a lot of the trees have a lot of leaves. I can't believe
Some
it.
of them haven't even changed colors
Yeah.
yet, so yeah.
So what, are we gonna
it's
extend that then, the
ways.
time of collecting, or what are your
I
thoughts?
guess if need be. I mean,
Okay.
hopefully they'll drop between now and the first week of
Yeah.
December, but
Okay, yeah, we got,
you never know.
okay.
Also, some really encouraging news, we are starting to see economic activity in the village. You probably saw the ad that was in the Greenhills Journal about the new restaurant that's coming to the shopping center. It's called the Butt Shack. Their barbecue is their specialty, and I understand it's pretty good food, although I haven't had it yet. We also have a coffee shop that's giving serious consideration to our shopping center. And there are a couple other small businesses looking at Greenhills that I'll be talking with over the next couple of weeks, so hopefully we will have more materialize as well. Also want to point out a couple of items on your agenda, just because we have a rather large item for Waycross, and Chip is here tonight to help with that item, as well as Jeff Forbes when we get to it, if that's better to address it when we get to it. Do you prefer that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, then I guess the other items we can address as we get to them. So that will conclude my report for now.
Thank you, Yvonne. Does anyone have any questions for the municipal manager?
One question, Mr. Mayor. Backing up to the natural gas program, I just, it's a matter of correcting my memory, I think. Mark Burns, he's putting all this out for bid. I was
Yes.
thinking I thought Mark was the guy we actually contracted with for the services, but he's kind of a manager then that takes care of the process.
Right, he coordinates all of this work.
Okay, so we couldn't take bids directly from, because these people are sending us stuff to our house and everything else. I can't remember how we wound up with
Okay,
this company handling this for us.
well,
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
It predates me. I think you guys passed the aggregation program shortly before I got here, but as part of that, Mark Burns does coordinate the bids, and so every couple of years, in fact, the last time we did a bid, I think a little bit quicker, so we get on a cycle with more communities, which gave us a better pool of people.
Right.
That's why we use him,
and-
because he's got more communities to get.
Yeah.
Right.
Each individual person can opt out. If you say, you know what, no matter what, I want to have
But I
two.
remember all that, I just couldn't remember his exact role in all this.
Right, so he does coordinate this entire bidding process. Everything you see on this list is something that he is doing. And then after those bids are done and we've accepted one of the suppliers, he will make sure all those documents get executed and.
Really what he brings to the table is this group, putting this group together.
Correct.
This was-
Yeah, I think we are out right now with four, there's four of us total. Yeah, here we go, Springfield Township, Westchester, and Hamilton, and then Greenhills, we're all
Okay.
in together.
Okay, sorry to.
Those
No,
are big
no
areas.
problem. It's-
Those are big areas.
Yeah, they are, so we do have a really good deal, and I know companies continue to bombard everybody with their letters, but we still do have a very good program, so.
Any other questions for the municipal manager? Law Director, Mr. Forbes.
Thank you. Just one item I'll touch on briefly. We've talked about it before. That was House Bill 5, which is the municipal income tax uniformity bill. About a week and a half ago, well, that sort of died a little bit. It wasn't getting much traction. About a week and a half ago, substitute House Bill 5 was submitted. I have a document that's about 30 pages long that tries to tell you the differences between the original House Bill 5 and this new substitute bill. And I have not gotten all the way through it, as exciting as it is. My point is, it is back on, well, as they've said, it's back on the front burner. I think there were hearings scheduled last week, and the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee has indicated that he would have 2 or 3 hearings a week for the next multiple weeks, because he wants this to be thoroughly vetted before it gets any further in the process. So we will continue to watch it and see what changes have been introduced and see if any additional changes come as a result of these hearings. And see how this may impact the budget.
Yeah, I've waded through a little bit of it.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
when my eyes started bleeding, I stopped. And some of it, quite frankly, I'm not sure how it affects us, if it does at present. My biggest concern is on some of the carry forward losses on businesses that economic situation for commercial real estate, they could impact us negatively.
What I will say, in general comment, is there are changes in this new bill from the original bill. Whether they're good, bad, or indifferent to this village is yet to be seen. What I will say is, but it still, in concept, takes away the local agency's ability to have their own income tax ordinance the way they see fit. I mean, it's still, all that they're making a lot of changes and tweaks here and there, but overall, the point still is, in essence, you're gonna have to adopt whatever the state's version of it is at some point.
If it passes.
If it passes.
Does this bill incorporate control by the state beyond setting parameters or setting a template for local income?
I guess it depends. They don't have any direct, there's no provisions for direct state oversight of administering a local income tax, but it does establish things like review boards that normally would have been left to the local agency to decide how those would be established. So it does put some more, the state is telling you a little more about how to do it. There's no direct oversight. And I will tell you, the one concern early on with this municipal income tax bill was that it was going to require what they call centralized collection, where the state would collect all the local income taxes. That never actually made it into the original House Bill 5, and it's not one of the changes that have been, it's not been added as part of the substitute bill either. That was the great sort of fear from the local agencies, was that the state was going to collect it all for you too, and then disperse it back to you.
So how would you summarize this? If you just put it in a neat little package of what they're trying to accomplish, how would you do that? We're gonna make you earn your money.
All right,
You didn't prepare for it?
and here's what I would say. In summary, what this bill is attempting to do is tell every municipality in Ohio that has an income tax that starting January 1st of 2015, your local income tax has to look the same as every other local income tax across the state. You have to treat operating losses the same. You have to treat how you carry things forward the same. You have to, in essence, you have to do everything the same. Now, it still will allow you to set your own rate at 1% or whatever your local rate happens to be. But I mean, in a nutshell, what it's saying is you can still have a local income tax. It just has to be exactly the same as everybody else's local income tax.
One size fits all.
Yes.
And what would be the purpose of that?
Well, I suspect that the attempt at having uniform, Ohio has, I don't remember the number, of municipalities that impose an income tax. And it is true that they are all a little different in their own way. It may be from the way you have to file or how they define certain terms. And I think a purpose of this uniformity bill is to make it easier and to make it more uniform for, let's say, accountants that handle the filing of the municipal income tax forms for clients. Depending on where companies are or where people work, you may have to file a form in any number of communities. Every one of them.
If you're a paving contractor and you do work in 25 communities,
Mhm.
you're subject to 25 different income taxes for your employees.
Which may define things in their own way, which may, their forms are all different. And so I'll say that, and on one hand, the point of having a uniform municipal income tax is just that, to make it uniform, so that whatever community you happen to be doing work in, you'll understand what the tax implications will be. I will tell you, one of the responses to that theory, though, is that the reason Ohio allows, some people will tell you, The reason that Ohio allows individual municipalities to establish their own municipal income tax is because the needs of, for instance, this community are different than the needs of a different city or a different village in the state. And that you may have found as local legislators that the best way to handle this for Greenhills is to have our income tax work like this. Because that's what's best for Greenhills, and that's why you have the ability to have a local income tax. So that's, the response is, yes, it may provide uniformity throughout the state, but it also defeats the whole purpose of allowing local governments to do things at a local level that meet their needs.
Makes sense.
Well, this local income tax thing, as it applies to contractors and all that, that's always been that way. I mean, right now, when I worked, if I, whatever, whatever customers I had in a locale, whatever income came from those being on commission, I had to pay taxes to that community. So, and it's the same way with construction guys. It's been that way forever. That's changed?
In this, if you are in a locale for less than a certain number of days and that days keeps moving,
Yeah.
you don't have to pay anything. So, and I'll give you the big time example. If you're a professional football player and you play for the Cleveland Browns and you come here once a year and you play one game, the city of Cincinnati would like the income tax on your paycheck. And if you make $10 million a year or let's say $16 million a year for your 16 paycheck games, they want to tax the $1 million that you made that Sunday. So that every community has different times that you're in, and that's one of the things that's being hotly debated.
Right. Sometimes it's the 12-day rule, the 15-day rule. What's that threshold going to be? As it stands now, every municipality in the state that has an income tax can set that rule themselves. If it's 1 day, if it's 12 days. That's one of the things they're trying to accomplish here, is to have a uniform number.
Seems like a difficult rope to cross. I know that in the packaging world, almost every large company I've done work for, they all want to go to a global package with 16 languages and everything else. Usually that dials way back when reality hits, but thanks for explaining that.
Mr. Forbes, correct me if I'm wrong, but there have been 4 meetings last week, 2 for the proponents and 2 for the opponents. There have been 1 meeting already this week, yesterday at 1 o'clock, and there's 1 tomorrow at 3 o'clock. As I understand, that would be the end of it, and it would be taken to the governor's desk. And then there's going to be a 5 months time period in which they're going to study what is the impact on the different municipalities and villages and so forth for 5 months. Have you heard anything about that?
I have not, but I will tell you, I haven't really, what I've read is what's come from the Ohio Municipal League.
Okay.
Since it was just reintroduced in the last week. The only thing I will say that I don't quite understand in your statement was that it would go to the governor.
That's what it said, that's what I understood from one of the messages.
It hasn't been voted on in either house yet. So.
I know, but it's going to be voted. According to what the information that I received through the Hamilton County Municipal League was it's going to be voted after the meeting tomorrow, somewhere in there, and it's not going, from there on, it will be passed along.
Wow.
And they're urging all managers of cities and villages and chiefs of police and mayors to go to make the statement as of tomorrow, because that might be the last time that we have that chance to do so.
Yeah, I can't tell you what the hearing schedules are. I'm just not.
I know there were hearings this week, but I don't know specifics.
One was yesterday at 1 o'clock and one is tomorrow, room 116 at 3 o'clock. And I was planning on being there tomorrow in Columbus for that. Is there anybody from the law firm going there? And no. Well, if anybody here would like to go on the ride, I'm planning on going there, and like if Creek don't rise and so forth. I'll be going there and find out a little bit more then. Thank you, Mr. Forbes.
Any other questions for?
I always had the suspicion, being suspicious, that this was all a tool to help balance the state budget deficit. You see any behind the curtain, anything going on there to gets a piece of this money?
The truth, as the way the bill stands now, no. I can tell you that that was a concern early on when the concept of some sort of uniformity bill was first being talked about. The concern was this concept of centralized collection, where the state was going to say, you guys can all have your local income taxes, but we'll collect it all for you. And the
They charge you a
theory
fee to
was,
do it.
right, and then we'll take a percentage of it as a fee for administering your tax for you.
But that's off now.
But that's, right, that's
Right.
never actually been included in the bill,
Right.
in any version of the bill. So
Right.
yes, there was speculation that, that was where this was heading, that once the state started collecting it for you, it's a lot like, like RETA, the Regional Income Tax Authority is an agency that's what they do. They administer and collect local income taxes, and they contract with local communities to do that. And they get paid to do that by retaining a percentage of what they collect. And the thought was that's what the state will be doing. They'll collect it all for us, they'll keep their 5%, and then they'll give it back to you. And perhaps as a way to balance the budget. I don't know what their thought would be, but I can tell you that's not in this bill, and it's never been in the bill, because I think that concept was met with such opposition that it's never made its way into one of the bills.
Now, Mr. Forbes, is it correct an assumption then that there are certain villages and cities, if this passes, that would be impacted immediately, and not us so quickly, but eventually, let's just say that we increase our businesses in the village. Eventually, we're going to have a problem with that bill if it passes as is, because of the income tax involvement in it and what we have to contribute, etc. Is that a correct assumption? Let's say a city that has a lot of industrial volume right now would be impacted immediately, while we will not be until that situation increase our economy and so forth, then we'll be impacted.
I can't say that that's entirely the case, because there may, in essence, what this would do would say that as of January 1 of 2015, your local income tax needs to match what Chapter 718 of the Ohio Revised Code that governs local income taxes. If you're a community that already handles things the way the state law says, it won't have any impact on that.
Okay.
If you already do net operating losses and carry forward, if you already have your local code that in essence matches the state version, then it may not have any real impact on you. If you're a community whose income tax ordinance varies quite a bit from what the state version is, then you'll be impacted. But I guess it also depends on how you vary from the state law. It may impact you, maybe in a negative way. It may be that you have to start doing things the way the state tells you, and it turns out that it may be better.
Well, then my next question is our income tax setup, does it match the Ohio Revised Code as it is? In other words,
No,
it doesn't.
no, but this thing is so fluid and it keeps changing every week.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if you hold ours up here and try to compare it, by the time you get halfway done with it, then the next
Right.
iteration.
And that's what's happened, as we've tried to review House Bill 5 and how it would impact you or this village, just that, by the time you finish your review, then they've changed it. And then by the time you look at that, then they introduce a complete substitute bill that has, like I said, 30 pages of summarized changes between the last version. So I can tell you that no, your code is not it doesn't mirror the Ohio Revised Code sections, but not many do. So you'll be impacted to some degree, but until we see what the final version of the bill is gonna be, it's really hard to tell you how it will impact you.
Well, we're taxing businesses now. I mean, it's just because we don't have any businesses, and we might have many more businesses later, or we will have more businesses later, you know, whether it's under our current tax program or the revised tax program, the businesses still are, and their employees are gonna have to pay taxes, so. It's not as alarming as what I initially thought, I think.
No, before the first draft language came out, the things about the state collecting it and then returning it back to us and charging for
Right.
collections, those were very uncomforting thoughts.
Right. Thanks.
Because they hold on to the funds as long as they want.
That's exactly.
I know we've talked about it quite extensively, but, so, it's a moving target, so they keep changing. At what point does it start to solidify, and then do we get a good comparison?
Generally, what happens is, a piece of legislation like this will go through committee, and it's been in committee for months. And once the committee, a version of it will get passed out of the committee. And that may be what they're talking about now, that there's one more committee hearing scheduled, and then the committee may vote to pass it out of the committee. Then that would send it to the full House. Then, when there's House discussion on it, there may be more changes in the House level. And then ultimately it'll get, assuming that it ever passes, I mean, I'm making that assumption, just to answer your question, it'll get passed out of the House. And then a version will get introduced in the Senate, and the Senate might refer it to a committee there, because sometimes they'll do companion bills and have one introduced in the House and one introduced in the Senate, so they can kind of run at the same time. I'm not aware that they've done that in this case. So they're gonna let it run through the House, then it'll have to go to the Senate, where it'll probably get sent to another Senate committee, maybe more changes, and then ultimately the Senate, again, assuming that they pass it, they'll pass a version, which may be different than the House version. Then they send it to what's called a conference committee, which is a committee made up of some House members and some Senate members, to look at the two different versions and try to harmonize that and make
Blah, blah, blah.
and then you'll get a final version, and that's what will go to the governor for the governor's signature. So
it could still change to the negative from our
it
perspective.
could still change
don't
in
know.
any way. I mean, I can't tell you
Could be
whether it's to
negative,
the good or
positive,
to
or
the
red,
bad.
neutral.
But yeah, it could, but generally, once it starts getting to the House floor, to the Senate floor, there probably aren't going to be big sweeping changes anymore, and you'd be able to start getting a real sense of how it may.
Thanks.
Hearing no other questions.
Please.
Report from the clerk of council, Ms. Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. The October Community Calendar and ordinance numbers 201330F, resolution 201331F, ordinance numbers 201332F, 33 SNS, 34 SNS, 34 TNS, and 36 CD were posted as required. Notice of the November 4th, 2013 Traffic and Safety Committee meeting and the Recreation Commission walk-run program gathering on November 9th was also posted. And on October 15th through the 17th, 2013, I attended the Ohio Municipal Clerks Association Career Development Program at Kent State University. I have provided council with a written report, and my notes are available if anyone should be so interested. And if there are no questions, that would conclude my report.
Any questions? Just a note, thanks for attending ongoing training. I think council has supported all employees getting trained. We're not getting smarter, we're falling behind, so appreciate you taking the time to do. Chief of Police, Chief Early.
Thank you, sir. started out in the month of October with a pretty long meeting. Despite my objection to usually long meetings, this one went way long, but we had a lot to cover. We started out with almost an hour-long legal update training presented by our municipal prosecutor. Collectively, the entire police department got together and saw the document that I passed out to you earlier. Did a mission and value statement. I think the most noteworthy thing is that our former mission and value statement was 105 words. This one is 26. It's very succinct, very concise. Each member of the department contributed a word or two. And we had flip charts all the way down this wall as we were honing that down. We reduced our values from 9 to 5. That doesn't mean we have less values. It means we're concentrating more on the ones that we have. And I think that it's a document and a mission statement that each of us can now remember and practice and live as we serve our citizens. In addition to that, we set up some committees within the department in the areas of video technology, new cruisers, policy development. So I'm trying to foster a lot of input from our officers in working through that. And just as an example, our newest officer, Officer Spinelli, who's seated in the back, has done the lion's share of the work on cruiser selection and done a lot of research. And it's just been a fascinating process to watch as it all comes together. We're starting some policy review changes, and we had, during that meeting, training on ethics, bias-based policing, responding to persons with mental illness, and incident command to make sure that we all stay up to speed. To provide better customer service, one of the things that we did in the last month, we purchased the latest and greatest of the car unlocking devices. This is the kind that doesn't damage cars even with electronic locks. It has like a balloon that expands. And Mr. Forbes helped us with a review of a waiver that we had people sign, but we've already had a lot of positive feedback from helping folks that have found themselves locked out of their cars. We've rolled out a new website for the department. It's still ongoing, but the website consultant for the village, Tom Schutz, was just extremely helpful, as was Councilman Halter, and both of them provided invaluable assistance, and we're continuing to work and fine-tune that website. We submitted to the state a $19,895 grant application to the Office of Criminal Justice Services. That's to replace our aging video recorders or video cameras in our cruisers. And just to put it in perspective, you remember those old VHS tapes?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we still use. So
Yeah, baby.
we're a little bit behind the times, and we'll know by January 15th whether or not we will be awarded that grant. I had a few interesting meetings with former Chief John Selman. Some of you may remember him, along with former Sergeant Larry Zettler.
Mm-hmm.
And they have, Chief Selman donated an entire collection of the original badges of the department dating back from 1938. And we were able to put together some of the badges that were used from in the 1980s and 90s. And we put those in shadow boxes in the department. If you haven't been down there, stop by and see them. They're pretty interesting to see. And courtesy of those two gentlemen, along with Bob Huber, who's currently a Forest Park officer and was once a Greenhills officer, we've identified everyone in our old pictures now. So we have the caption lines underneath the pictures, which is pretty neat to see. One document that you received, it's about 13 pages long, was our strategic plan. That really came out of the discussions that we had in our departmental meeting, and we developed 9 long-term goals for the department. One of them, I think, is very timely with the school shootings and tragedies that we've had throughout the nation, is to keep our communications open with the schools and work to improve our potential responses to any kind of a police and or fire matter. Maintained our accredited status with CALEA, which we're working very diligently on currently. Maintain a comprehensive equipment replacement program, increase the quality of customer satisfaction and the quality of our services. Provide quality training to our officers and to newly promoted supervisors. Take a look at an acceptable workload that works for both the community and the department. streamline our operational efficiencies, look at conducting on-site drug testing on narcotics evidence. This was an issue that's been identified through some cases in Mayor's Court. We're looking at ways that we can do this the most efficiently and economically as possible. And partner with Springfield Township on an impound lot where our impounded vehicles would be stored there rather than at a private tow company. We worked, as I mentioned briefly, with the Hamilton County Chiefs of Police Association on a plan that meshes with our long-range strategic plan, tailored for each individual jurisdiction to ensure a planned response to an active shooter or mass casualty incident in any school. The Chiefs Association is tailoring that plan for every school in Hamilton County. And we're very fortunate to have Officer Aaron Schluter, who's also a full-time firefighter and paramedic with Forest Park, and he developed our plan. He's actually a shooter of the, a trainer of the ALICE program, and he was able to make that plan come together, and we've already made that available electronically to all of our officers, so it's available every computer that we have in police headquarters as well as our computers in each cruiser. So we can bring up a map of the schools and actually have a step-by-step procedure as to what we would do. We participated in the National Prescription Take-Back Day on October 26th. In fact, we accepted pounds and pounds and bags of unused and unwanted prescriptions throughout the month of October. We had a box in the lobby, but it was so heavily utilized that we had to resort to our property room. That was all taken to the DEA for property destruction earlier this week. And during the month of October, we investigated 4 accidents, 4 crimes, 139 other incidents. We had 488 contacts with citizens. 111 were dispatched or received by telephone, and 377 were self-initiated by officers. We provided assistance to the public in 79 instances. We assisted other agencies about 24 times. We made 61 criminal arrests compared to 48 last month, and 71 traffic arrests. That's a summary of our activity for October. It was a busy month.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for the Chief?
I have a comment. I think this is fantastic.
I do too.
When you came in and identified this as an issue, I couldn't have agreed with you more. A mission statement that actually is digestible and can be ownable by those of your force. I think this is fantastic.
Can I ask you to read that so people that don't have it in front of them see it or hear it?
Yeah, it's great.
Won't take me but 15 seconds. Members of the Greenhills Police Department, in partnership with our citizens, will excel in providing dependable and professional service to ensure the safety of our community. I wish it would have just taken that long to come up with that, because it took probably an hour.
But I guess, one of the things too, what you say on there are values is the number 1 is integrity, 2 is honor, 3 is respect, 4 is excellence, and 5 is accountability. So it's really good.
And I wish I could take credit for all of that, but it was really a collective effort of all 14 members of the Greenhills Police Department. I couldn't be more proud of how they came together.
Which helps in the ownership of something like that. And also, I'm glad to hear that my daughter locked her keys in the car, and this is a little while back, and I discovered that at that time it wasn't a service you provided anymore, but I guess because of people being concerned about the cars. The device that you purchased and one that allows you to get in the car and not do what I did to her car is a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, have you had a chance to check and see if the local schools have the numbers of the rooms on the outside, or not yet?
I did not. I was actually at one of the schools today, and I didn't see any numbers. I suspect that's not the case, but that is something we'll follow up on.
Thank you.
Anything else for the Chief? Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Chief Spaeth was not able to be here tonight, so I don't have a report in his stead, but I would remind everyone that the turkey raffle is coming up, which is a huge fundraiser for them. And beyond the fundraising portion, I think it's an opportunity for our community to show support for them. And I asked one time, I had a conversation with somebody that came to my door that gives you the turkey raffle tickets, and I said, you guys don't make a ton of money selling these tickets. Why do you do this? Because there are other ways that you could raise some money, maybe a little more quickly or a larger amount of money. And it was at that time Lieutenant Hoffman, I believe it was, and he said, you know, this is an opportunity for us to go to every storefront in this village and remind people about smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors, and just meet our neighbors and see the people that we provide service to. I would just encourage people, and we'll give you the exact time and date when we get to calendar, but just turkey raffle's a big deal. If you have questions for the fire chief, you can email him. Mayor's report, I do not have the audited court receipts. You'll get those in December, and I'm not taking questions.
Come on, your advice.
And moving on to committee reports, I have the first committee report, Finance and Audit. November 13th at 3 o'clock will be our audit committee meeting, so we'll put that on the calendar. Yvonne already commented that we met with the school board to have a discussion about the community reinvestment area. And I can tell you that any of the school board members that gave me any feedback were all very positive about this initiative to help improve property values in our community. And in fact, one of them said, I wish the other municipalities in the school district would do that. I just received some preliminary numbers through October. I don't have everything final and haven't done any analysis yet, but I'll give two numbers. Our all funds expenditures are down 1% from prior year, and our income tax is still trailing last year receipts, although we've closed the gap. It's about 2% below on roughly $900,000 of income receipts. So you can see we're not collecting more money and we're not spending more money. It's kind of the bottom line. And once I get an opportunity, the full report will provide some additional comments as part of our November Finance and Audit Committee. And at the proper time, I have some ordinances on finance. Yes. Moving on, recreation and cable TV, Mr. Hermes.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Hey, we got, there was an article in the Greenhills Journal, and it talked about the Greenhills Walkers and Runners Club. And they're gonna have a preliminary walk and run meeting. And it was set for Saturday at 10 a.m. November 9th. But my whiff, she forgot to put down the location of where they're gonna be meeting. And it's gonna be at the gazebo. So 10 o'clock in the morning, Saturday, November 9th, meeting at the gazebo. There'll be maps will be handed out to each participant. 3 different maps for walking and running routes. Of course, going to be 3 different capabilities and levels. Okay. To practice or preliminary walk and run to help the Rec Commission to effectively launch the Walker Runners Club in the spring of 2014. Okay. So it's really good. On the back, the map will be a survey that people can complete to just kind of give the Recreation Commission some feedback on what they like the best. You know, it's ready for the spring launch. Okay?
November 9th at what time?
At 10 a.m. at the gazebo.
It's also posted on the website, the Greenhills website.
Yeah, thank you. And there will also be one call now, we'll be actually putting that out as well, the location as well at the time, as a reminder. Like the village manager had mentioned, Palm Park was redone, put a new slide in. They expanded it, made it a little bit larger, put some new swing seats on, relocated boundary lines and made it new borders, got rid of those 6x6 timbers, and put down some nice structural vinyl that's nailed down into the ground with real long nails. And so it's really nice, and they're updating it. You see, it still have to put a little bit more rubber mulch in just to finish it off. They didn't quite have enough. And they're going to be bringing that hopefully here by the end of the week. So it looks nice. People are excited about having a new slide back in there. in the next couple meetings with the rec commission, they kind of are setting guidelines and trying to prioritize what they want to do next for Greenhills recreation and for 2014. So this meeting coming up in November and also in December, they're going to really get themselves together and say, here, we want to accomplish 2 really important things for next year. And so I think it's good. They got some goals, they want to get it together, and now we're on a schedule where we can have a quorum more effectively, especially after tonight. So it's working out well. Good. Any questions?
I just wonder if you're going to have an open date in which people can submit suggestions like in the past?
Oh, you mean for the
topics,
recreation?
Yes, for the next
Yeah,
year.
anytime, it's always open meeting, anybody's invited to come. This next meeting will be on the 21st November.
Yeah, but there was always one meeting in which people were allowed to speak. Are you allowing?
I mean, they never talked about that, because right now, basically, you got 7 members that are on the board that are from the village.
Okay.
And so, that's the reason why we got the Recreation Commission together and getting those 7 people, because they represent the village. If somebody wants to be there or talk to one of those members to let them know what their thoughts are, that'd be great.
Okay.
It is an open meeting. But it usually works out pretty good.
All right.
Any questions for Recreation Cable TV? Am I correct that you have some legislative work?
I do, isn't that cool? First time this year.
All right, community development, Mr. Halter.
Yes, I want to thank everybody that came out for the Harvest Festival. I think we had a wonderful break in the weather that allowed that to come together. There's so many people to thank. I'm going to do what I can to cover that. If I somehow miss someone or some group, it's not intentionally. It's, it's one of our most recent 75th anniversary celebration events. The Pooch Parade was a hit with the pet owners and pets alike. At first, when I went by there, I think I saw 2 dogs, and I was starting to be concerned about that. When you have awards that outstrip the number of pets, that would be a problem. But I think they ended up with 22 or more pets and pet owners, which is quite good considering first-time event and also the weather at the time. I want to thank Mayor Merle, Marie Walther, and Stephen Drace for judging the event, and the vendors that contributed door prizes. Thank you to Dr. Patricia Bender and Stephen Drace for making the Pooch Parade happen, and it happened well. I know Diana also played a role in that, Diana Kohler. There was a lot of work, and being part of my committee with so much focus on the Harvest Fest itself, they took it and did just great things. Thank you to all the vendors that participated. I had many compliments about this being a community event that it really had the flavor of Greenhills. There was political organizations, there was small businesses, we had games. We also had vendors participate, like the food trucks, Pizza Tower, and Red Sesame. Really fantastic addition to our group. The American Legion had their food booth as well. We had the Greenhills Fire Department, brought their trucks for many to enjoy. Hay rides by Adam Young, just fantastic. People really love the hay rides. Paul from Paul R. Young Funeral Home in Mount Healthy. The hot air balloon. There's very few times I find myself praying for no wind, but this was one of them. Because in the beginning of the day, there was a possibility 8 miles an hour is what keeps it away from the event, and that really came together well. A lot of people had just great experience going up and down in the balloon, and just seeing it on our common, I think it drew a lot of attention. A special thank you to the Design and Beautification Committee, consisting of Dr. Patricia Bender, Terry Trinan, Stephen Drace. A very special thank you is in order, and a huge thank you for Doug and Diana Kohler. They went way beyond the call of duty, involving their son Chris as well. It was nice to be painting alongside of him on the top of that roof. We've, all the suggestions, the suggestion to have it back there, I think was Diana's suggestion at the Farmers Pavilion. Multiple people mentioned, wow, this is a great place for this.
Yeah.
This is nice to see it come back to life. I don't even know the last time it was officially used. Do you know, Terry?
Yeah, it's been decades,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, so we were quite excited about the way it turned out. Also, the council members that helped taking donations for the hayride, and David Moore for also helping out donations at the hot air balloon. There was a lot of people that stepped up to the plate, and but again, I do want to emphasize Doug and Diana really did a fantastic job, and it wouldn't have happened as successfully without their contribution. Then the other event that just took place recently was the Run for Good. That was the joint venture between Alois Alzheimer's Center and Greenhills. This is what you get if there's not enough people in your age group to run. That's how I obtained that. I look for those races that are first-time events, but it was a great start. It happened last Saturday, and very professionally organized. I just think that they're doing a fantastic job over there. John Merrick is doing wonderful things. If you get a chance, take a look at the new sign that they're putting up. It's in process. He's just really contributing to our community, and we couldn't be more proud to have them a part of what's going on here. Next up, thanks to Glenn's leadership, the Light Up Greenhills will be on Friday, December 6th from 6 to 8 p.m. We have the I Love Greenhills dinner. That's full circle from the start of our 75th anniversary events to that's coming up in Saturday, February 15th, and obviously 2014. And I bring that up because we do have things still left. We have hats, we have mugs, we have banners, and contrary to what I had mentioned before, I don't think I will be putting the banners on eBay. It was just a kind of a wild thought, thinking maybe we could reach out to the larger audience of Greenhills, and I've run into them from everywhere from New York City to Tennessee in another occasion. So rather than do that, though, I think that that might be part of a little bit of an auction as we wrap up this year of events. We'll have a grand finale ceremony in April, which will be the full completion. A lot of hard work has gone into it. I think a lot of people have enjoyed the events, and we're going to try to keep a number of these going. I'd encourage you, because almost after every key event I've heard, we should be doing the community day at the pool every week. After my heart stopped for a couple beats. Maybe 3 times or 2 times a summer, but some of these things that we had so much fun with, like the Harvest Festival, we really look to having this be a reoccurring, a number of these reoccurring events. So volunteers will be welcome and
Necessary.
So that concludes my report, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Jeff, I want to congratulate you about the Harvest Fest. It was absolutely an event to remember.